Gemini, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation. In these weekly videos, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun. And then what that means for your bottom line, for your day-to-day. All you need to enjoy this information is your birth date. That's all you need to know. If, of course, you want your full natal chart, that's free and easy for you to get on many different websites. You'll need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. But for now, all you need is your birth date, because I will break things down from the really, really big stuff, and then I will focus them down into the Gemini specific information that all of you need to know. And then I'll break things down into the 3 decans of Gemini, which is, a decan is a group of 10 degrees. And by breaking them down into groups of 10 degrees, I'll be able to know how your natal sun, depending on where it's located, is going to be impacted this week by all the other planets. All right, let's start with the big stuff, Gemini. And there is a lot of big stuff that's going on this week. The biggest things are happening around the 16th or 17th of July, and that's the new moon as well as the transfer of the nodes, the lunar nodes, into new zodiac signs. So the new moon happens on the 17th in the zodiac sign of Cancer because the sun is in Cancer. But this new moon is in opposition to Pluto, which means a huge transformation within the personal space, the personal self. This could be a beautiful catharsis, or it could be an implosion, depending on how you deal with the weight. And I think the toggle point is the shift of the nodes. This represents a shift in focus because the nodes are transiting on the same day. So the north node is transiting from Taurus into Aries, and the south node is transiting from Scorpio into Libra. This means a focus or a consciousness is now going to be battled out between the duality, between the singularity, the singular, the individual, the balanced, whole, complete individual, versus how to balance things out with other people, with partnership, with working through a partnership to understand the self and personal capabilities. How do we rectify this duality? This is going to this is going to be the toggle point of this new moon, because this new moon is square to the nodes and in opposition to the sun. And opposition to Pluto, which is about extreme change and extreme metamorphosis. This is an intense time. It's also about dealing with the darkness versus the light, this sense of what has been hidden and repressed, that Pluto energy versus the sun, bringing it out, recognizing it, realizing it, and then what to do with it. So there could be a lot of big changes that are happening, especially with our egos and our sense of self. The new moon is trine to Neptune and sextile to Uranus. And what that tells me is this is way above and beyond the norm. This is not inside the box. There is no box here. And there could be something that radically changes how we feel or how we look at humanity as a whole. Because Uranus brings these advanced understandings of the outer space versus not outer space, but the outer realms, the ethereal realms, bringing it into focus or making it palpable by the inner realms, which is Earth, something that suddenly is discovered or makes sense with regards to this celestial realm, Neptune, this trine to Neptune, this sense of straight out of fantasy, but it's being rectified, it's being realized, and it's being harmonized by that trine of that triangle. So this is actually a real pivotal point that humanity is facing in general. And I think it'll offer a lot of surprises that even I can't understand. But there's other things that are happening at the same time. All week long, Mars is in opposition to Saturn, while Saturn is semi-square to Chiron. What does this mean? Resentment because of restrictions, because we can't move forward, feeling that there's always laws, rules, regulations that won't let us go, that won't let us move, always challenging us, and that leading to a sense of hopelessness and in some cases, anxiety and depression because we just don't even feel like we're prepared or that we can do it. It's like the message that we keep getting from the no, no, no is that it's never going to be possible. There's this discouraging factor that's there that's really playing against this whole new sort of novelization of what could shift and twist in the metaconscious of humanity. And I'm not really sure how it's going to play out, but I think it's going to play as a catalyst to us realizing something's got to give. I feel like that feeling has been in the air for a while, and the give is coming now. We also have Venus conjunct Mars for most of the week up to the 15th. And then Neptune trine the sun all week long. Neptune trine the sun is very brilliant, beautiful, spiritual energy charged with faith and connectivity to the stuff that can't be explained, the great mysteries of life and the great mysteries in you, the individual themselves. And with that sextile to Uranus, this is a sense of really being able to celebrate who we are and be who we are and our uniqueness. Let's get into Gemini specific stuff, okay? For Gemini specific stuff, I look at two things. I look at Gemini itself, the zodiac sign, what is happening in Gemini, and then I look at Mercury, the ruling dignitary of Gemini, and what's going on with Mercury. So there's nothing going on in the zodiac sign of Gemini itself. Mercury is in Leo, and it's shifting between 5 and 15 degrees by the 14th. So just a day after this video is debuting, Mercury is going to be square to Jupiter, and that's going to be pretty much all the way through the new moon. Now, Mercury square to Jupiter is almost like too much information, too fast, too much to process. It could even be the process of just your mind is going to be blown by something that ends up being revealed, and that changes in such an extreme way with everything else that's going on. So there's kind of a mind-blowing energy out there. Generally speaking, throughout the week, it means too much information to process that could be so much so fast your mind is running away with itself and causing a lot of confusion just because it's hard to keep all the thoughts straight or process all the information. We also have a quincunx to Neptune for most of this week, so there's friction here with the unbelievable, the incredulous, this sense of stuff that doesn't make any sense, right? It's hard to put it into a box or make sense out of any of it. And then there is a trine to Chiron. Mercury trine to Chiron is about forgiving things that have been said to you or old beliefs thoughts that you've been thinking in your head or words that have hurt you. The injuries and scars created by communication somehow, people swearing at you, cursing at you, or any kind of bad criticism or anything like that is harmonizing and being able to heal from it, grow from it, and learn from it. Putting that all together with Mercury, this is all like mind-blowing information that is going to actually explain why some crazy critical crap has happened and why maybe you keep getting told no or all this criticism continues to happen. So that's really intriguing just by what's happening to Mercury. But then you put it into context of everything else. There's major stuff that's going to come up this week that is going to be recognized and right in front of you, and it will be kind of jaw-dropping is what I think. Now let's get into what's going on with your natal suns. If you know your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Gemini, you are a Gemini 1. Because your natal sun is in the first decan of Gemini. That usually correlates to May Geminis. So if your birthday is between, say, May 21st, 22nd through the 31st of May, that would be May Geminis. That's what you are. That would be Gemini 1s. Your natal sun has an interesting relationship to this Mars opposition to Saturn, which is causing a lot of resentment because you're feeling like you're being held back. Think about what's happening with Mercury, like all the criticisms. All of a sudden, things could be made really relative and evident, mind-blowing stuff coming out. But your natal suns are square to Saturn and square to Mars. So you're sitting right in the middle of the opposition between Saturn and Mars. So there is a major contention and tension that is really going to force up some crap that you just have to let out and get out. This sense of stuff that has made you feel like somebody is hammering down on you, too much authority, trouble with the law, any kind of injuries or wounds to who you are, or how you feel about yourself, or even this sense of being able to move around. This could be some majorly rebellious energy that happens, especially with your natal sun square to Mars. I would watch out for anger outbursts and for pushing things too far, especially physically, because physical harm is a lot more likely here. This is some real hot-headed pop-off-ish shit, probably being inspired by that feeling of repression that's beating down on you from Saturn, like conflicts with laws, obligations, pressures with contracts, stuff that you just feel like you're never going to get out of. You are going to get out of it. There is going to be a solution. If you're at the cusp, so that would be May 21st, 22nd, 23rd, your natal suns are trine to Pluto. So there is a reckoning or a harmony that comes from dealing with those darker qualities or aspects of yourself and able to heal it and heal yourself. And then we have by the 16th, a sextile to Mercury. So there's some sort of opportunity or communications or information that will come in by that point, or finally being able to articulate and talk about stuff that's been happening to you or get the information that you need. That's coming by the 16th. Definitely some breakthrough stuff by the new moon. Gemini 2s. If your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Gemini, it is in the second decan of Gemini. And so you guys are Gemini 2s. How does that translate into the birthdays? Basically, anybody with a birthday between June 1st and June 10th, you guys would be Gemini 2s. Especially if you're born between, say, the 9th and the 12th of Gemini, you have a sextile to Chiron. Even though people born the 11th and 12th are technically Gemini 3s, that Chiron is at 19 degrees Taurus. And so it's really those of you on the cusp of the second and third decan that are in a tight sextile to Chiron. And that means opportunities to heal and to evolve yourself and open opportunities for yourself and others because of what you've learned by dealing with these challenges that you've been put through. You are semi-square to the North Node, and you will be semi-square to the new moon. Now, semi-square to the North Node, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it jump into Aries and go from a sense of the traditional being challenged, having challenges with traditional structures, to the singularity, being alone, not really loving being alone or feeling like it's working for you anymore. This semi-square is more just a stubbornness, maybe dealing with the stubbornness of feeling like I have to do it all by myself, and starting to really see how that could be impacting you negatively or just restricting you or holding you back. But from the 16th of July, your natal suns are going to be sextile to Mercury. So at the end of this week, there will be real opportunities to talk and get information through conversation, through education, through learning by having conversations with other people, just taking in information from them. Opportunities will be opening up for you at the end of this week, FYI. So, Gemini 3s. Okay. If you know your natal sun is located between 20 and 29 degrees Gemini, you are Gemini 3s. That correlates to birthdays between the 11th and the 21st or 22nd, usually through the 21st of June. You would be Gemini 3s. It's right there on the Cancer cusp. Your natal suns are sextile to Venus all week, so you have a high sense of attractiveness and appeal, and people just being more naturally drawn to you. This could also be a very sensual time for you, a time when you let yourself splurge and get to indulge in a lot of nice, pleasurable things, whether it's sexual or food, it doesn't really matter. You will have money to spend, or there could be good opportunities with finances that come in for you. And of course, your intimate relationships or dating is highly recommended because it'll go really smoothly and you'll have a lot of opportunities in that area of your life. We also have, for those of you who are at the cusps only though, those of you at the cusps of Gemini and Cancer, your natal suns are going to be sextile to Mars all week as well, which means there's also virility and vitality, there's courage and there's strength and a push forward, especially against contention and restriction, which is what Mars is battling with Saturn. You have a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node, which means your opportunities are coming from the things that you didn't really ever feel comfortable with, but they're going to start feeling more appealing to you now, and finding harmony with the past and where you come from, and acceptance of where you've come from in order to feel comfortable with the opportunities that are now opposite from where you've been. So this is a sense of opportunities coming more from your being a singularity, feeling like your whole self, understanding who you are and how to present yourself, versus maybe because you now have a firm, committed relationship that you can lean on. I don't know, just an example. You also have a long-term quincunx to Pluto, which means that the changes and rockiness of your road and of how your life has been changing, and the relentlessness of your ego and your sense of yourself has been kind of rough. And it could be that there's a lot of stuff that you've held inside that's really agitating you and pushing you forward. At one point or another, you're going to have to confront that, but that's definitely more of an internal struggle. But because Pluto is so highly active right now, this is going to be an especially emotional and challenging new moon for you, because it's so active during that new moon. So you let me know in the comments below how all of this is impacting you, Gemini. Please remember to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you've loved it. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, Gemini.